So, hello everybody. I know we are live and I expect loads of comments today because I'm trying a new system. This is Kirsten Buchholzer from the German Tarot Association, and I have with me the lovely Ethony from Vancouver, which I hope I pronounced correctly. Hi, Ethony.
Hi.
Hi, great to see you. And I'm sure people will show up in a moment. I already told them that they shouldn't expect it to happen where it was supposed to happen. And people are already arriving.
Hi, Monica. I can see some people in the comments.
I'm a bit nervous because you are a true star of the tarot scene. And perhaps because I'm not sure whether all German people know much about you. I know some of the Germans are fans, but perhaps you give a quick introduction about yourself, how you ended up with tarot. Quick introduction.
Yeah, sure. So hello, I'm Ethony. I'm Australian raised and now living in Vancouver, Canada. So I found the tarot when I was 15 years old, when I was working in a metaphysical store in Fremantle called the Pickled Fairy and Other Myths, and it's just the most delightful place, and I got to dress up like a fairy every day. It was basically the best. And I got my very first tarot deck there, which was the Mythic Tarot, the original Mythic Tarot, and I have not looked back. So it's been hang on, how old am I now? So it's been 22 years that I've been reading the tarot.
And have you immediately started to just do only tarot, or have you had another profession?
So, that's a good question. So I found the tarot in regards to the actual art form through my discovery of Wicca and paganism and witchcraft. And then I am a HR professional by sort of muggle job, I guess you could say. So I worked in HR and operations for a very long time in Australia. And then when I moved to Canada 6.5 years ago, I got pregnant and didn't want to go back to HR. And it was really spirit also pushing me to move everything online, because I was teaching and doing tarot readings and everything in Australia on my weekends and in, wherever I was doing corporate events and all sorts of stuff. And then when I moved, all my clients moved, right? So like my clients stayed in Australia. And then I moved to Canada and I had to move everything online. So I moved, one of the steps of that was to move my course online and my readings online, and then everything else kind of just followed on from there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's really great. I mean, people are already complimenting you on working in a metaphysical store as a teenager.
Yeah. Fremantle is a very, I haven't been back in a while, but especially when I was growing up, it was very hippie, sort of new age. It was lots of new age stores. Australia is very progressive in a lot of areas in the craft, and has a very robust pagan and Wiccan community. So it wasn't a hard thing to find, which I was really lucky for.
So, but right now you're no longer in a hippie atmosphere. It's more very professional. I looked at your website and also at the Tarot Reader Academy, and it's really stylish and well thought through. I really have to compliment you on this. It's not happening in Germany, these kind of sites. So I really think we need to do something here in Germany for German-speaking audience. But whoever is out there who wants to have a look at this and perhaps get a course, I just saw that you are offering a free introduction tarot course starting on Monday, and I have to confess I already registered.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
I basically I love the tarot. I could talk about tarot, magic, nerdy stuff too. I'm a massive nerd until I'm blue in the face. So I'm doing a massive revamp of my sort of foundations course on tarot, and I'm doing a bunch of live calls to introduce a bunch of new people to tarot if they've got questions. We're just going to hang out and go through different topics and really debunk a few things and hopefully open the doors to people who may be interested, because tarot, especially in North America, I don't know what it's like in Germany and in Europe, but in North America this year it's gone so mainstream that a whole bunch of new people have found the tarot.
Yeah, I was just wondering about this. I know a bit the tarot scene in the United States, but how is the scene in Canada at all?
That's a really good question. So I thought when I was moved here that it would be very much like Australia and very an open community, and it is in a lot of ways. So like there are quite a number of metaphysical stores here. They all have readers. There's this Granville Island, which is very well known. So it's pretty open, and there's a lot of people you can find. I've got a lot of friends also in Toronto who do tarot and astrology and all that sort of stuff. So it's pretty open here, and it's definitely. But it was that real weirdness when it went from being something that you had to seek to seeing it in Walmart and Urban Outfitters and like all these like bigger chain stores were like stocking tarot, and it was like, oh, this is so cool. It's now becoming extremely mainstream.
And are there any tarot associations in Canada?
Probably. I don't know. No, that's really funny because like I'm going to have to ask a few people. We don't have any conferences. So all the conferences that I go to are in the States, and I was supposed to come to the UK and Europe this year, but COVID. So everything that I know, there's a Tarot Guild of Australia, but I don't know. That's a really good question. How bad of me? Bad Canadian.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to.
Oh gosh, I don't mind. I'm Australian. I'm very laid back. You can ask me anything. I'm like, you can ask me what color underwear I'm wearing today. What color am I wearing? Purple. There you go.
So you are Australian, actually. I thought you were Canadian, because I looked at your introduction video on your website, and also your text, and you said you were born in Canada.
Yes, I'm a dual citizen. So I guess because I grew up in Australia and I spent most of my life in Australia and most of my family's back there. I think there's a song called I Still Called Australia Home, and I think it's like where you grew up, you know, like all my friends from school, all my memories, and I have new memories here. So I'm Australian Canadian, so I'm both, yeah.
And looking through your video, you told very intimate stuff about how you started getting into tarot. I have to say, you talked about your childhood and the dreams you had been having, and you connected this somehow, tarot, dreams, and witchcraft, and this is something I really wanted to talk about to you. I just said, for me, witchcraft has always something to do a little bit with the witches with pointy hats. You don't look like one of these witches. So what do you mean when you say, I'm a witch and I use tarot in connection with this?
Yeah, so I was always a very psychic as a child. I could always see spirit, and I had very vivid dreams and visitations in my dreams, and my parents thankfully were very open and they didn't send me to any kind of conversion therapy, thank goodness. For me, because I was always very sensitive and I could always feel what people were needing, or I could understand what was going on without a lot being said, and I had no training as a child, and I found out later it came from my mum's side as well as my dad's side, but that generation wasn't so, I guess, open. And so when I found paganism and when I found modern witchcraft and modern Wicca, and that one of the tools that many witches use is the tarot, it was like, oh, I felt like I came home, because I was always loved nature. You know, I was always like off with the fairies, and I love the idea of magic and the magical world, and I could sense energy. So when I found that, it was just like a light click went on, and I was like, oh, like this is what I've been doing. Like, I collect rocks and shells and hug trees and love animals, and and I have that. I see those sorts of things. So it was kind of a very natural thing. And for me, the tarot is the living book of life, right? So it's these representations of the archetypes, the people, the situations, the lessons, the good, the bad, the ugly that we can, and many of us do, experience in life. So for me, it was like a way to connect the magic that we all experience through a very visual media, because I'm a very visual person. I like visual learning, and I connect it also with the Kabbalah, with magic, with the planets, astrology, numerology. So tarot really felt like it was a beautiful way, especially when you look at when it became less about being a game, or I know there's amazing German cartomancy, like Kipper and things like that. So when it became less of a game and more into the Western esoteric traditions got their hands on it and stuck the Kabbalah and everything into it, then you can start to see the Western magic that's inside the tarot as well.
So I'm I'm sorry about this.
No, it's all good.
Information. Usually I'm a big talker, but you talk more.
I know, and you poor thing, you have to like translate it all in your head, and then like
no, it's okay. It's just first I need Kirsten is asking in German where and
how do you register?
Exactly.
Yeah, so, I can read
it. Very good. So
and then Monica just said good idea.
I'm not going to wear a pointy hat, whoever wrote this.
Why?
Kirsten, I'm going to put the registration in the show notes, but also it's worthwhile to subscribe to Ethony's newsletter, because you do once a week a great oracle, which is really interesting as well. Coming back to the witchcraft issue, I'm wondering what you just said about Kabbalah and astrology. That's stuff many people do, but they don't say I'm a witch. You understand what I mean?
Yes, yeah, I do. So I guess it's the one of the frameworks of Western magic, which is what modern Wicca is. So modern Wicca came from the patchwork of it, the reanimation of it came from England, and Gardner, who was the grandfather, and Margaret Adler and all those people all knew each other. So they knew the founders of the Golden Dawn, they knew Aleister Crowley, Israel Regardie, like all those people. If they didn't kind of hang out in the Golden Dawn together, they at least knew each other. So, and there's documentation, that they all knew each other. So it was just a way in which they added another layer to the tarot. And because it all came from kind of the same umbrella, it can be used as a part of your craft. And witchcraft, Wicca, and paganism are different. So paganism is any earth-based religion, any earth-based spirituality. And then Wicca is the religion that you believe it's protected under religious rights in many countries, including Canada, Australia, and the United States. And the UK, I'm not sure about places in Europe, because there are some very weird old laws around still against, witchcraft and predicting the future.
Germany is still burned on the stake.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a thing, to say lightly. And then the craft of the witch is really just any magical working. You can be a Taoist witch, you can be a yogic witch, you can any form of blowing out your birthday candles and saying a wish is witchcraft. You know, it's just the act of magic.
Yeah, so basically it's about doing magic with a card.
Yeah, you can do, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
have an example? For example, we have now soon the winter solstice. Are you doing something special for this with tarot?
So I have I am actually doing not just for the winter solstice, but it will be up I think it's going up in a couple of weeks. I'm doing a New Year's spell that's going up on my YouTube channel. But I can give you kind of an example of, say, for just a general idea for tarot and magic. So, if you were looking at, say, increasing your client capacity or increasing your money flow, what I would do is I would take out 3 tarot cards that would represent where I am or where I want to be and the actions. So I would think about what I know about the tarot and I would take those out. So where I am might be, you know, the 4 of Pentacles. You know, maybe like you're holding on to every dollar. You're worried about your clients booking with you again, or they're canceling, or whatever it may be. Or you could be feeling even more like the 5 or the 6. You know, you could be feeling like you don't have enough money, or the 6. You're like constantly chasing it and feeling as though you're having to rely on the goodness of others to stay stable in your finances. So you could pick one card that represents where you are. So say I'm going to just pick the 4 because it was the first thing that came to me. Not that I'm at the 4, I'm very fortunate, but this is just an example. Then where you want to be at the 10, right? You want to be or the King of Pentacles or the Queen of Pentacles, depending on how you identify with those archetypes. So the Queen of Pentacles for me is more of a healer archetype, and the King is more of like this manager. This person is very good with finances. They're very responsible. They stick to a budget. They're fiscally, like, they got it on their mind. Well, let's pick the 10, right? We've got a family that's usually looks quite happy in the 10 of Pentacles. There's more than one generation under one roof, which you could, sorry, I'm probably speaking a bit too fast. That you could identify as being wealthy enough and financially dependent enough to be able to take care of more than one generation. So a comfortability, you know, you want that security. So we've got the 4 for where you are, the 10 for where you want to be, and then the 9 or the 8 for what what you need to do. And so the 8, focusing on your blessings, focusing on your craft, work, you know, committing to the work, being there of service to people, and making it about them and not about your money story, but being there for your clients. Or you could see the Ace of Pentacles. Every ace is a brilliant card to have for manifestation, because either you're manifesting love in the cups and emotional security, you're manifesting creativity and your work and your career and the wands, you're manifesting ideas and inspiration and breakthroughs in the swords, and you're manifesting money and health and everything to do with family in the pentacles. So you could put the ace there, because the ace is that new offering, those jobs coming in, that ding from Etsy or PayPal or whatever you get that says you have a new client booking. So then you would put that in the middle. And so you could put that on your altar and then write down on a little piece of paper your money goal. So I like really achievable, attainable goals. There's no point in putting, I'm going to make $250,000 in a month, because you know you're going to fail that. Like, you know, some people do, but those people are Beyonce, you know, like, so put down, you know, you want to make another 1,000 euro, or you want to make another, whatever it may be. So write down you want an extra $1,000 in client bookings, or you don't even have to put client bookings. Let the universe figure out how it's going to give it to you, right? And then you would fold it up and put that on top of your Ace of Pentacles, and you could put a little piece of pyrite, so fool's gold or citrine, on top of that too, if you had it, to help bring the money. Sorry, I'm trying not to hiccup. To bring the money. And then you could leave that on your altar. Obviously, you would have a deck that you would work with magic, and because, you know, many of us have more than one deck, but you wouldn't take those cards out of a client deck, right? For example, and then you could go to your altar every day with a deck and say, okay, what do I need to do today in order to make that goal happen? That goal that you have laid out magic-wise, and then you can pull a card and take action every day to help manifest that. And that's magic. It's using the tarot to guide you, to hold anchor those archetypes and to guide you through reaching your goals. Hopefully I explained that okay.
I totally understood. I don't know how people out there have more questions about this. Marion is asking, do you have a special deck for ritual?
So I have probably more decks than anyone will ever need in their entire lifetime, and I'm sure I'm not alone. But I do have decks that I will just use for myself, that I will just use for magic, all that sort of stuff. So one of the decks that I just use for myself and I use a lot for magic is my Witchcraft tarot. It's one that I've had since 2004, I believe. It's when it came out anyway, and I've like trimmed it myself, and I've edged it, and it's very worn, and it's got a lot of energy in it, and I use that a lot for just myself.
Okay. So Marion, you know, so you have loads of decks, you said, but you are also doing your own decks. And I read on Facebook that there was quite something unhappy happening with your decks disappearing, but they have appeared again, you said, right?
They did. They're here, my babies.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just this time of year, right? It's so busy with everyone shipping, especially now that most people are ordering things online and we're not going out shopping as much as we were. And they did arrive. So my two new ones are my Modern Love Tarot, and
were there two women kissing?
Yeah. Well, the two drag queens actually, because I love them. Yes.
Wow.
That's the love card in the deck. And I wanted it to be inclusive and modern, and
perhaps just talk about the first deck, because I don't know it at all. That's lovely.
This is the Modern Love, and I'll put some photos up later. But it is right away.
That's really cool.
Inspired. Like the Hanged Man here is he's been texting on his phone and he's now waiting for a reply. So we all know that, like, feeling
right. A typical situation for people to call a tarot reader, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. So you know, my little page of cups. I know my camera's not great. Four of Wands. So it's right away smooth space, as you can see.
But they're lovely.
But it's very modern. I did not paint it by myself. So I designed the card. So I very poorly sketched what I wanted. Like stick figures and random things. The color palette I chose, the symbols, the people, everything. I chose everything. I designed them all, and I wrote the guidebook. And then I hired an artist, Lucy, to complete the art. So yeah, it's finally here. So this is all meant to be for love readings, right? Like you can read it for anything else, but I designed it specifically to be for reading romance and love readings, which is really a lot of our bread and butter as a tarot reader. And then the guidebook has got, so every card, the Eight of Cups, it's color guidebook, has the general love meaning and the keywords. And then if you're single, so if your client is single, ready for dating or dating, committed relationship struggling, and the relationship is over. So it's all like sectioned out to be different meanings of the card, like different aspects of the card. So
clever. I like that.
And then there's spreads in the front, and all sorts of fun things. So that's
And what is the second deck?
And the second deck, just moving some things on my little desk here. The second deck is an oracle deck. This is the Modern Goddess Oracle. And I have a coven, an online coven that I run called the Awakened Soul Coven. And we work with different goddesses every month.
I love this bag.
Thank you. Yeah, it's all like And so this has got goddesses from all over the world. And again, it's modern. So what would these goddesses look like? You know, I love Peru. I spent a long time in Peru. It's a Sacred Valley tattooed on her back. You know, what would these modern goddesses look like, you know, outside of...
Was this Pandora? You were very quick.
Yeah, that was Pandora. Yeah, Pandora.
Wow.
So this one arrived as well.
It looks like a female Neptune.
She does, Parvati. Yeah, she does. She's got the and then I've also got archetypes. So the mother, the mystic. So there's 16 archetypes, and then there's the rebel. And then there's goddesses from all over the world, and which I wanted it to be different, which is why I put in the archetypes. And again, full color guidebook. And with each of the goddesses, it's like meeting how to work with, like, the divination meaning, and then how to work with the goddess, and then the shadow meaning or the reverse meaning, and how to heal with the goddess. So yeah, I'm really, I mean, I don't know what possessed me, to be honest, this year to do 4 decks, but I did.
There are some questions you need to answer. How many cards are this? Is one question.
So this one, I'm now going to do my math. This one is 55 deck cards in the Modern Goddess. No, 65. 65 in this one. See, it's a lot. And this one's a traditional 78.
And is it possible to ship them to Germany, and how much would this be?
So there is a bit of a problem with shipping, and the problem with shipping is that it's expensive because of COVID. There's hardly any flights, so you can get it shipped without tracking, but then if it goes missing, it goes missing. So we just put a tracking requirement on. But if a bunch of you wanted to get together and ship something over together to decrease cost, you just would have to email me, and we could organize that. Yeah, because that way you can get it down. Because I feel you. I live in Canada. I lived in Australia. Like, the shipping costs to Australia are like astronomical. So I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I had there was a deck by Robert Place I wanted, and it was about 30 or 40 quid to ship. So we need to get ourselves organized. If anybody's interested, we can talk about this out there.
Yeah, it'll definitely take your shipping costs well and truly down.
Marion is asking whether there are online covens.
Yes. So my coven is called the Awakened Soul Coven. So if you go to ethony.com and you go under work with me, and we have members all over the world. We've got members in Egypt, Australia, in Asia, in Europe, in the UK, in Canada, like everywhere. And we meet, we do a full moon ritual. We meet 3 times a month on Zoom. Everything's recorded, and then I have different training things inside it as well. So it's been running for, oh my gosh, 5 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, because I
join without a problem, because people would be missing stuff, wouldn't they?
Yeah, people, it's been running really smoothly. The reason why I started that was because, again, when I moved from Australia, I moved from a coven that I loved and was a face-to-face coven, and sisters I will have for life, and they're still dear friends of mine. But I moved here and my community went, and I was really lonely, and I was like, well, I can't be the only one who's experiencing this. I can't be the only one who's alone, doesn't have anyone to talk, about the same sort of things. And and so I just started it, and it's going very strongly, and it's been going for 5 years now.
And is your family working with you in regarding tarot? Because you said you're alone.
So I have my older sister here, who actually looks like she's my younger sister. She's got the most amazing skin, Jamie. So she actually works with me here. We're partners here, business partners here. And she takes care of all the operational stuff, like the website. She's like a tech genius. I'm not a tech genius. One of the reasons why my stuff looks so good is because she does it.
Yeah,
you know,
I was saying your stuff looks amazing. So
yeah, that's her. I'm going to go tell her later that she got all these compliments. So I focus on the content creation, and she's not a tarot reader. She's not a witch. Not her thing, but she's like a operational genius. So she came on as a partner 2 years ago. So it was I ran it for myself for like 4.5 years, and it was exhausting. And then then she came on, and it's been awesome to have that operational help. But everybody else is in Australia.
Okay, that's not nice. Marion has still another question. She wants to know how you came up with your goddesses.
So I am obsessed with mythology. Like I said, I'm a massive nerd. If I go to a new country or a new city, I want to go to their museums. I want to check out all their like old sites. Like I'm an absolute nerd. And through lots of research, through the craft, through my witchcraft, I've met lots of goddesses, and it was really just honoring the different feminine, goddesses from all over the world. And I picked some that were pretty well known, like Athena and Freya, and Hel and Baba Yaga, and all these ones that people knew very well. And then I picked ones that I didn't think a lot of people knew either, to like bring these goddesses to life, like Ishel and things like that. So the goddess one took me a long time, because there was a lot of research and a lot of trying to be as respectful as possible. And a lot of it was because we've worked with a lot of these goddesses in the coven.
And do you think there are goddesses or gods in the tarot?
That's a really good question. There are a lot of goddess themed and god themed decks, and very specific, like Norse themed and all sorts of things. That's a really deep question. I don't know. I think if you're asking, like, does it become this thing that becomes more powerful than itself, then I'm not quite sure. I think we give anything power, right? We give our tools power, we give our beliefs power, we give symbols power, whether that's from a societal point of view. A stop sign means a stop sign to most people, or whether it's a personal thing, this means something to me because of an emotional attachment I have to it. I don't believe that, for me, the tarot for me is not, it's a tool, it's an extension of myself. And for me, it's the way my guides and my goddess and God and my ancestors communicate to me, because it's the language in which I receive, like, it's my biggest clairs are clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsentience. So that's how I receive messages. And I can do that in an ordered way, because spirit will sometimes just like slam those messages in, and you're like, how am I supposed to decipher this? Whereas with the tarot, it can help you get some order in. So when I read the cards, it's a ritual for me. Like, I open up my space, I welcome in my guides, I hold, and then I close down after the day and I say thank you. And it's a way to get clear communication. And then sometimes it's just a quick flick through, or it's at a bar or whatever, and it's not as like ritualistic. But most of the time when I'm working, especially with clients, it's a full ritual for me.
I meant more, this is very interesting as well, but I meant more, if you look at the Empress, for example, would you connect her immediately to a goddess? According to
good question. So yes, but I think more of an overarching archetype rather than a goddess, because I think the reason why we have so many different gods and goddesses and myths and legends is because we don't all speak the same language, nor do we all have the same cultural experience. Like, we all don't have the same seasons. So we need many teachers. We need Jesus, and we need all gods. We need the Buddha, the Bodhisattvas. We need we need all those things, because we all don't speak the same language, and we all don't see things the same way. all roads lead to the same city anyway. We are all energy and matter and spirit, whereas I see them as archetypes. But any mother goddess, you know, whether that's Demeter or Freya, you know, they would, you know, two that come to mind. Gaia, obviously, being the ultimate Greek representation of Mother Earth. In the First Nations, it would be Mother Earth and Father Sky. So that would be the Emperor and the Empress. Pachamama, like I showed before, that's the Andean goddess of the earth. So there's a lot, you know, death can be hell, Hecate, Hades. That could be, there's lots of different gods and goddesses that would Santa Muerte, that would resonate with that energy for sure. So I could definitely go through each one of them and be like, yeah, that's this. You know, Hermes could be Loki, and Hermes could be the fool. You know, so there's definitely gods and goddesses that I would put to each one, but I would also recognize that overarching archetype could be found in any pantheon around the world.
Yeah, wow. There are not many questions out there right now, but
maybe I've hurt everyone's brain.
Since I have you here, you mentioned in the beginning that the tarot scene in Australia is very lively. I don't know anything about the tarot scene in Australia so much. Perhaps you can tell me a bit about this. I must confess, I don't have an image of Australia myself.
Australia is, I mean, it's a big country too. So there's a Tarot Guild of Australia. There's a lot of readers in a lot of shops. Like I used to go and read at psychic fairs. So I would work all weekend at psychic fairs in town halls. And then they would have, you know, mediumship nights at open churches, and the churches, universal churches and things like that. So it's pretty well mainstream, because there are a lot of metaphysical shops there. There are people like Wendy Rule and Lucy Cavendish and Alana Fairchild, and Scott Alexander King. And so we do have quite a big community there for sure.
I really have to look into this, because I'm not very well informed, I have to say. So people are, they can't ask questions because they are listening, which is always good. I saw also you wrote a book for Llewellyn on court cards.
I did, this bad boy.
And is it just focusing on court cards and on how to read them?
Yes.
I don't know this book actually.
Yeah, so this came out last year, I believe. So basically the reason why I wrote this was a 3-year writing journey. I wrote this because a lot of people struggle with the court cards. You know, people, like, the color drains from their face and they come out, especially when you're learning in the beginning, right? You're like, please not a court card, please not a court card. And you're like, oh, court card. And I wrote it to help people kind of get over that, because the court cards for me are their own beast, right? I see the major arcana as one section of the structure of the tarot, the minors from the ace to the 10 as one, because it tells a whole story from potential to fulfillment on each of the suits. And then the court cards are the people and the personalities, and those usually our biggest lesson teachers on a daily, like a day-to-day basis. And so they're their own beast for me. They're their own families. They're their own progressions through different forms of initiations, from the page to the king. And for me, it's not about kings being men and queens being women or whatever it may be. It is about the title and the way in which power is used and represented in the world and perceived in the world. The page's power is more about communication and language and service, whereas the king's power is more about leadership and structure and vision. So they have a very different way in which they see and interact with the world. And yeah, so I spent a long time going through the archetypes. I gave each one of the tarot court their own archetype to easily identify them in readings and who they are, and going through how they react in love and how they interact at work, and kind of, so just really to decipher the tarot card.
I like this idea of power. I never thought about this. It's a pretty good angle to approach them. So it's about empowering. If you step into a card thinking magical, you can empower yourself in a certain way to face a situation.
Totally. And there's some exercises in the book about that. Like, if you were a knight, you are going to address a situation very differently than if you were a queen. Some queens, yes, absolutely. There are many archetypal queens out there who raised swords and went out and raised hell. But, the knights in that structure were there to protect the realm, and we're more the action-orientated ones, whereas the queens had a bit more of a passivity to them. They were still just as powerful, if not more powerful. It was just in a different way.
And are you planning another book?
I haven't planned another book, but I do, but I've got so many things on at the moment. I'm working on another 2 decks. And
another 2 decks? God. You're busy.
I don't stop. Like, honestly, I think it's because, like, first of all, I love the tarot. Like, this is not just something that I picked up and decided it was a good business idea. Honestly, if I wanted to be rich, I would have been like a lawyer, or I would have stayed in my oil and gas job. Like, there are easier ways to make money than being a tarot person. So for me, it's not about that. It's like, I love the tarot. So I don't stop because I get so inspired, and then I have an idea, and then all of a sudden it's a thing.
So it's going to be tarot decks again?
Yeah, so these 2 will be decks, and then I have got other ideas for books. I just haven't had the time to really sit down and write. And writing is either bliss or a nightmare.
I can understand this. Yeah, amazing, all the stuff you're doing. I'm really... I think here in Germany, there's lots of potential as well, obviously, for doing cards and whatever, but we don't manage to bring it out online. Perhaps it's also because we don't speak English, and English is everywhere around. It's a really a shame. Are you coming to Europe probably next year?
My fingers crossed. So I'm supposed to be coming to Europe next year.
Okay.
So we can all hope that all the vaccines and everything are okay, and we can all start to travel again. And I will be there. My father, I've got to tell you a story. It's got nothing to do with tarot, but my father said to me, if there is anywhere you go in Europe, go to Germany. He's English. And he when he was like 17, I think, he rode his motorcycle all the way through Germany, and he loves Germany. And I've had many German friends. I had a German pen pal who stayed with me when I was a teenager, a backpack with loads of Germans. I would love to come to Germany.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in Europe, I'm sure we will get you to come and meet the German tarot people here.
Yeah, amazing.
So we need to be in touch about this.
Yes.
Yeah, we still try very hard to get stars like you to Germany, but it's with Corona, it's not possible at all, and it's always difficult to ship people here. Like,
yeah,
your decks, it's always quite expensive. But let's look into this, because I'm sure many people would be rejoicing in meeting you in person.
I also love meeting tarot people too, because it's like we're a part of like a cool club, and we can just like sit around and talk about the cool things.
You're so cool.
We are cool. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah. So anyway, I think I covered all the topics I wanted to cover. I'm just wondering, are there any more questions out there you want to ask, Ethony?
I'm very friendly. I don't bite.
Oh. Yeah, you are very friendly indeed. I mean, it's an impromptu interview. And but I also know you are very busy. It's midday where you are. It's amazing, because here we're kind of getting into the sleeping
I
mode.
know. Next time we have a chat, we'll do it earlier for you all. We can arrange that.
Yeah, it's not. It's okay usually. It's Friday, but I think everybody's exhausted from
Right.
staying at home. It's nothing is happening, so
it's amazing how all of us having to spend a lot of time at home and really not having as much, like, I guess, external stuff, although the internet has been an absolute dumpster fire this year. We all know it. How it's been very exhausting, because it feels like every day we're having to just go, okay, like, we just got to do our best and, be as kind as we can to ourselves and be as kind as we can to other people. And yeah, it's been a year.
it's been a year indeed. So we have to do all some magic to make next year a better year.
Yeah. A less stressful, less horrific year would be a lovely.
Yeah, I would very much appreciate this as well.
Yeah.
But let's not finish on a sad note. I think people really, really enjoyed your talk. They all will rewatch this interview, I'm very sure. You indicated that you're willing to come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have another interview. I'm very happy about this. Springtime.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
And if there are any more questions out there for Ethony, just put them in the comments later on, and I'm sure you will come back to answer them.
Yes, yeah, just tag me in them, and I'll come back in later on in the day, and I'll check tomorrow as well, because I know it's getting late. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, so I think we call it a day, an evening.
Yes.
And I wish you a productive afternoon.
Thank you, and have a lovely evening. Thank you, everybody. It was so nice to see you all.
Yeah, I enjoyed it very much as well. And this was my last talk for Tarot e.V. this year. Highlight of the year, of course. And I will be back next year, which sounds amazingly long.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes. Speak to you all later. Have a great day. Oh, look, Ethony, your enthusiasm is really inspiring.
Thank you.
Bye there.
Bye.